Hey, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 136th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are having a very candid conversation with our good friend Jason Sims about why Black people say other Black people act white. Yes, you heard it. I didn't stutter.
Interesting.
But before we dive into that rabbit hole of a conversation, it's your favorite time of the day, guys. It's Tasha's monologue. So, without further ado.
Oh, hooty hoo to that. I say this is a good moment in life.
It's like our own personal red table talk, really. It's amazing.
Okay.
I can't even.
If you say so.
Shout out to Jada and the 3 generations of beautiful Black women on that show. They're amazing. Guys, if you're listening to this episode right now because you've downloaded it off the Podbean app, Thank you. That is amazing. Why? Because that shows level of support and love and appreciation, and we appreciate you. But most importantly, that's the best way for you to be able to join the conversation. When you download it off the Podbean app, then you can actually put in your comments, and that's how you can engage with us episode by episode, by week, guys. That is fantastic. But if you're like, listen, I love you, Tosh, you're my sis, but I can't mess with Podbean app. Okay, if that's how you feel, different strokes for different folks. Make sure that you are subscribed to the show on whatever platform you're choosing. So if you're like, well, what are you talking about, girly? Well, what I'm talking about is if you go to WokeNFree.com and you go to the Listen tab, then you can see all the different platforms we're on. So for instance, you can catch us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Must I go on? Y'all, we're on 30 plus platforms. Get your life, pick a platform, subscribe, and follow the conversation, guys. It's amazing. Now, when it comes to sharing, you darn well know what that is carrying. Absent COVID-19. Stop sharing COVID-19. Please share WokeNFree. And you can definitely do that with your friends, your family. You can share it on social media. You can send a newsletter. You can send emails. You can scream it out your windows because that is still following guidelines of social distancing.
Oh, all right.
Amazing.
That's a good tip.
Amazing.
Pro
guys.
tip.
Yes. Careful though, because if people start walking near your airspace, close your windows immediately and run.
Well, close your windows and scream WokeNFree.
True facts you
Then
speak.
people will maybe understand.
WokeNFree.
Because you're trying to be free of the corona.
Exactly. Not free of WokeNFree, free of the corona. That's except the beer, guys. We don't drink the beer, but for some people that's really amazing.
We're free of the beer, but
we're free of that beer, but not free of wine and hard liquor. Hey. That's how we do.
And does Corona is it Budweiser? They make those like alcoholic cocktail mixes or something?
They do. They're very yummy. Yeah.
If you're of the age, you can try one of those.
If you
They're not
are
bad.
of the age, yes, absolutely. Now, when
They
it
make
comes
their little mixers.
Word. When it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if tú tienes 90 seconds. 90 seconds. If you have 90 seconds, you know what you can do with that? You can do a lot of things. One really amazing thing you can do is you can actually review the show. So we would love a review. We'd love a review on our Facebook page. We'd love a review on the actual platforms you catch us on. So whether you want to give us, rate the show on iTunes 5 stars. If you want to rate the show on any of the other platforms you're catching this on, please do that. 90 seconds. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being part of the WokeNFree Nation.
10 stars.
Woohoo! I like it.
That's what I go for.
Before we have this candid conversation with Jason Sims, let's get some context. Who is this guy, right? He's our friend, but y'all want to know who he is. So Jason Sims is from Long Island originally, born and raised, but currently resides in New London, Connecticut. He is a mechanical engineer and also quite a bit of a gun enthusiast. In his free time, he likes to draw, train in martial arts, and enjoy the outdoors. The topic of why do Black people say other Black people are acting white clearly air quotes, guys, intrigues him heavily because he experienced a level of ostracization from his peers when he was younger because he didn't conform to, again with the air quotes, being black. He really wanted to share his perspective and shine a light on the topic because of his personal experience. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation with the unforgettable, definitely memorable Jason Sims.
As you know, Jason, each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week we asked, it's arguably the most important meal of the day. Do you take oatmeal or eggs and bacon? This week we're asking, though, which author moves you more, Lewis Carroll or Edgar Allan Poe?
I'm not familiar with Lewis Carroll.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Maybe I know a book, but I don't know that this person was the author.
I think it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yes,
that's one of them.
That's serious.
And did he do Polar Express, or I don't know?
Possibly, I'm not familiar.
Or
with
not
that.
Polar Express, the one with the demons, the animals that. Remember, you have your little demon.
The Golden Compass, you mean?
Yeah, did he? I don't know if he did that.
think
but I know he did
so.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe thing. I know he did that.
So does your answer change now, or who do you think?
And I can tell you some more.
I'll say Edgar Allan Poe.
Good choice. I go with that one as well. Edgar Allan.
Oh, and
then nothing better than Edgar Allan.
All right. So yeah, I definitely screwed that up. He actually.
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland was his thing, Through the Looking Glass. So you see.
So not The Witch and the Wardrobe. Yeah, that's C.S. Lewis. That's who you were.
Oh, I was thinking of C. Oh, I knew.
Yeah.
All right, so I got it confused. Yeah, so Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, or still Edgar Allan Poe. Who do you choose?
I'm still choosing Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah,
that's a good choice.
Yes. And you agree, Kalo?
Well, yeah. Well, what's funny is I actually need to read that book because what I hear is it's actually like a book about a perverted old man who's looking at this young next door neighbor girl.
You're talking about Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Somebody told me, and if you read it, you'll see he's actually a very creepy old guy.
Nope, that's nasty.
So it's really a pervert book.
Nice.
And I know, at least from what I've heard, Edgar Allan Poe, he didn't write books perverse like that. They were just kind of deep, dark and twisted type thing.
Twisted, kind of really interesting.
I mean, by today's standard, I think is nothing like compared to kind of stuff of content that we get. We get some pretty crazy stuff. So
definitely,
I'm gonna have to. That's why I go with Edgar Allan Poe because I don't know. I guess we just enjoy stuff like that, like Walking Dead and just kind of like evil, kind of twisted things. And I think he was, for his time, he was kind of revolutionary. So I'll go with Edgar Allan Poe versus the pervert man, which is probably going to piss people off.
Okay, so I think we can move along.
Well, do you go
on this train? I voted.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Always, yeah.
All right. Now I think let's get into like the meat and potatoes of everything. Why do black people say other black people act white?
It's interesting how like when you get to your 30s, you can look at life a bit less emotionally and a bit more objectively. And part of it, we're going to have to go back to slavery. We have to go back to slavery because if you look at what happened to black people back then, white people were sadistic and twisted and evil to us and made us hate ourselves and love them. So now, go fast forward to Reconstruction era, fast forward to the Jim Crow era, fast forward to 50s, 60s, 70s Black Power era. Black people were we didn't have much to hold on to, but we had a sense of pride or dignity in maybe blackness. And so if you did anything, even to these standards, even to the modern standards, if you did anything that normally white people would do, even if it was a thing that was positive for you and your family, other black people would say you being white because they know how twisted and mean evil white people were for a period of time. So anything that's associated with things they do on the regular that we don't know about, even if it's good for us, we just think it's negative, and it's twisted how we were conditioned to think, you know, and that's part of it. I mean, there's many caveats of it, but I think that has to be acknowledged.
So you're saying there's just the bad blood, the history between the African American narrative in America and what is perceived what is perceived as a white man or white woman's journey. If Black people in any way do that or resemble that behavior, it's kind of a betrayal of our race. Is what you're saying?
To a small degree. And not in every degree, but there's many caveats and there's many nuances and many intricacies to this. Well, for instance, I'm as I get a little older, a lot of the music I was into when I was younger, I don't listen to a lot of it as much anymore, because you know why? I could think of only African American Americans who rap, who degraded their women and sort of like killing their own people, and white people made money off of that. Now, that is something that is against our own race. But if we did something positive and uplifting, and you can say almost nerdy or geeky, there's Black people would say, stop acting white, do the gangster rap music stuff, and it's like, whoa, this music is degrading you and pulling you down, and the rest of humanity is going to mock you, but you're going to embrace this because it's your people talking about it. It's very twisted stuff, but then there's also areas where, when it comes to financial intelligence, fiscal intelligence, being a responsible parent and being having I guess someone who's really big into health and nutrition, fitness, and certain things that maybe some of us weren't educated on. These are good things. These are things we should implement in our communities. But some people are like, oh, you doing yoga and stuff. That's what white people do. You need to eat soul food and eat this bad food and get your cholesterol up. They'll embrace that. It's positive, even though it's gonna kill them. But like doing yoga and Pilates, that positive stuff. Nah, that's let those skinny white girls do that stuff. You do this stuff over here, And
yeah.
So does that make sense?
No, I think so. I think obviously
traditional. You're saying like traditions, like Black people are sticking to what they knew, like what their ancestors knew. It's kind of like we knew how to like do song and dance, and that's how we were doing our education. So we still do that. But then when we're doing like new things, like you're saying, like Pilates and stuff, it's like, we never did that in the past. So we're trying to do this new stuff. That's acting white because we're not used to doing that. We're used to doing everything how we used to do.
But
like
that seems to stem within ignorance, right? There's ignorance within our community as to what is for Black people, like how to stay in our Black lane versus not staying in our Black lane. And so I think
and some stuff, it's funny, we don't even know that we even created that certain things.
So that's ignorance too. So I think
we'll think it's like a white creation. So
I think there's ignorance. I think there's a history of bad blood between our communities. There's also this problem of expectations. What should a proper Black person do? What we shouldn't be doing? And as soon as we can kind of move away from shoulds and expectations, I think we can broaden the narrative of what it means to be Black, what it means to be a Black American, and what is something for us and what is something for all people. And, and so racism, I mean, it's just, I think it's ignorance. I think
you think it's ignorance. That's what you would call it.
Yeah, on both sides, right? On the side of us not knowing what is different and kind of sit shocked at like, oh, well, no one in my family's ever done Pilates. So like, that's not for me, but who says? Right. And then also the ignorance of, like you're saying,
who actually
I don't know who invented, what if Pilates was invented in like India or Africa? So it's like, maybe it's something of our own invention, or a person of a fellow brown person, because like it might be an Indian thing. I mean, because don't they do like the tantric stuff?
Oh, when was that invented? I mean, Pilates
I mean, a lot of brown people on this planet invented a lot of things that other communities like white people enjoy. So it's not really
one of
a
the
white
biggest
person thing.
It's of the biggest things that come to mind is when I think of music, and that's rock and roll. That was invented by Blacks.
That as well,
so that it's a thing that, but your stigma. I think now it's a little bit easier, but still, it's kind of, you still get looked at. But now Black people can be into rock, and it's not a big deal. But definitely in the 90s, that wasn't really it was looked down upon. Like people wanted to just look at you and be like, oh, all right.
But I think we do need to break it down for the WokeNFree Nation. So Jason, could you describe to you what like acting white means? Because maybe not everyone is even aware of what that is.
Okay. So, I have to talk a little about my personal life experience that, like, growing up, I wasn't a hood type dude. I wasn't like a wannabe gangster thug type guy, if you can get what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I like to read books. I like one of my favorite classes in high school was chemistry. I
That's
like
good.
physics. Mathematics. I liked. I didn't. There were certain songs in the late '90s that were kind of the precursor to trap music that I didn't really embrace them that much. And so because maybe because I like to raise my hand in class, and maybe because I like to have all the right answers, and maybe I don't walk with like a gangster bop, and maybe my clothes weren't the baggiest. Like a lot of black people who did those things did not embrace me. They ostracized me.
Hmm.
Seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, because I wasn't thugging it out or keeping it real. But the thing is, they were keeping it real stupid. That's the problem, and they didn't have the wisdom to know that. You know,
So you would say that you were like the things you just mentioned that would constitute as acting white in other people's views or skepticism or judgment of you?
yes, because it seemed like because I was trying to progress myself, and I was trying to do things to want to elevate myself, and I embraced who I was to the best I can. That these things that I embraced weren't the typical things the average dark skinned person usually embrace coming from where I come from. Like I lived in Brentwood from '96 to 05, and so I went to high school there, Ross High School in Brentwood, Long Island, and um what I find is that like there was a heavy Hispanic and a heavy African American, heavy Caribbean population, and very a rough, aggressive environment. And if you were pristine and you try to talk right and you knew big words, or if you do things that would have helped you, basically if you do anything that helped you at a job interview, you're acting white. That's the best way I can put it. That's the best way
Wow.
I can put it. Like if you talk properly, you knew big words,
Hmm.
not big words, so you knew words they didn't know. You know,
So yeah,
you
like a
weren't
bigger
you
vocabulary,
yes,
that
yes.
kind of
They
thing.
have like that's a they perceive that as a bad thing,
It's
and I'm like,
interesting though. You said a dark skinned black man. Do you feel like you still would have been ostracized if you were a different hue of blackness? So when you were talking, you said that like you were naming things that you did that you enjoyed and that other people in our community, the black community, would say, you know, stop acting white. But you said dark skinned black man. So I just, to me, it just popped in my head as to, do you think enjoying the things like reading, speaking with a wide vocabulary, not necessarily thugging out, is it like, would you have still been ostracized for those things if you had a different skin hue or color of blackness?
it depends because you have to understand there are different subsects of black people
Mm-hmm.
and light skinned black people. I find that there's certain things they can do that the dark skinned black people cannot do, and vice versa. And depending on what age bracket you're in, what social economical background you're in, sometimes you fall into different roles, and you find out the norms very quickly. And so there's a chance maybe certain groups would have embraced me, and maybe certain groups would not have embraced me. So it depends on what subsect I would have fell into, or what social economical neighborhood or community or religious background or whatever. Because you have the Muslim black people, then you have the Christian black people, then you have those groups who are either in high school or they're in college or maybe they're in professional realms. Then you have the gangster black people, as in people that are in gangs, and some of them have fallen to different groups depending on how they identify themselves. So again, it depends on which grouping you're talking about. I
So
mean,
that's
I'm
interesting.
just naming a few. There's many more. There's many more.
Could you break out just one example of saying what a dark skinned person would not be able to do if like comparative? Because you said dark skinned people can't always do what light skinned black people. What do you mean by that?
All right. So as if I was a fair skinned man, but
Mm-hmm.
I but very clearly I was black. Um, I can pass for Hispanic. And if someone looked at me real quickly, I might be able to pass for white. And a lot of black people would know. Some black people would just know, look at me and say, "Oh, he's black." Now, that being said, I find that because of my dark skin, people perceive me as a bit more aggressive. People act very funny around me sometimes. People, as in people of non-African or non-Black or non-African or non-Hispanic ethnicity or origin or background, they perceive me in a way that is of a negative perception based on their prior experiences with other human beings who look similar. If I was a fair-skinned man, they might perceive me as more kind, more friendly, more gentle, more passive, more docile, more what's the word for it? More someone who they want to welcome with open arms, as opposed to calling the cops to get guns and shoot them. You know.
So then that begs the question: can a dark-skinned person also be accused of acting white, or does this only fall within the segments of fairer-skinned Black people?
I mean, there's again, what I have to say is that it depends. And again, it depends on what group of Black people you come from or associate with, because any intelligent human being would know that progress is a good thing. Any intelligent human being would know, objectively speaking, crabs in a bucket syndrome will keep a group down. They'll keep them down where they're at, because no one's trying to help anyone elevate, because everyone's afraid that if that person elevates, they'll leave them behind. You know, because there's a lack of unity in that group. If there was unity, they would know that when we elevate that person, he or she will come back for us. So, you know, there's many caveats in many different variables that go into this. It's not no pun intended, but this is not a black and white thing, you know.
Yeah.
So it depends on. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to be dead serious right now, but it really isn't. You know, you got to look at. Because again, we can look at people who are Black but identify as Muslim or 5%ers. They're the people who are more into the Arabic path. Then the other people who are in the Christian path, and even in those heavily aggressive Christian groupings, you know, those get very can get very socio-political and very cliquey. You know, then you have the path that is, you know, how should I put this? They are like alternative, big into the skateboarding, big into like doing things that more rock band type stuff, and smoking marijuana and playing a lot of video games and that type of dude, you know. So it depends on which bracket, which group, because sometimes, a lot of times, those people, they get it the worst. You into some video game, weed head, skateboarding stuff. Like, because I'll keep it real. I'll keep it real. I did skateboarding between 2000 and 2001. I told until about 2002, so 00 to 02, and I didn't do it much. I did it where no one would see me because I was ashamed and embarrassed that people would look at me and think I was acting white.
So you know, it's funny. Well, I grew up in Hollis, Queens, and that's like a hood. So everybody there was expected to act a certain way, but it's interesting. Like, so we did certain things. We did skateboard and stuff, and that wouldn't be accused of acting white. But if you're like using, you know, words that they haven't heard before, then that's when that would come out. And what I'd have to say in terms of like the skin color, it didn't matter. Like, we had a range of skin colors in Hollis. Like, it didn't matter what skin color you were in terms of acting white. Everybody would get called out the same depending on what you were doing. But skateboarding and stuff was seen as okay. Like, you know, we were into some video games and stuff and doing other things, but only the talking thing, that's what really would bring out that, oh, you're acting white type of thing. But if you could speak to like a fellow brother or sister, would you tell you that Black person, you know, that person that tells you that, oh, they're acting white, what would you actually say to them? Like, now, if someone accused you of acting white?
I might tell them, all right, let me excuse my language, but I'm saying, what the F are you talking about? I might say, you know what, I'm like, are you mad I have 2 engineering degrees? Are you mad I have a job with benefits? Are you mad, you know, I can scare myself? Are you mad I live in a basement? You know, are you mad I don't have 8 baby mamas and 10 kids? Are you mad about that? You know, because you got a problem. Obviously, I'm getting their face like, yo, what's up? You know, this because you a dumb N-word, you know, don't get mad because I'm elevating my stuff. You know, I have no shame in,
that sounds super cuddly, Jason. That sounds like you'd embrace them with love and support.
because the thing is, I'll put them on history. It's straight history. This is facts. You fact check me everything I'm about to say right now. Look up Egypt. Look at the 25 dynasties of Egypt. Look at the fact that Egypt helped civilize Europe. Look at the fact that from 3100 BCE, before the Common Era or before Christian Era, to about 100 BCE approximately, there were 25 dynasties that were black. These are black people, black human beings, who the Greeks came to learn from. The Greeks, they came and they said the Egyptians were faultless people, and so we taught them writing. We taught them how to clean and bathe and civilize themselves. Because for many years, white people were savages in caves. These are all things you can look up. There was no Europe until about 825. I think it was Homer's Odyssey or the Iliad.
Herodotus. Oh, you're talking about that? Okay.
Yeah, 825 BCE. Fact checking all this. You go back to 4000 BCE. 4000. There was no Europe. No white people of any highly civilized civilizations of any sort or kind. They didn't exist. So now, if you look at things, black people built the pyramids. You know what it took to build the pyramids? You know what it took? A lot of engineering and
we can't even build it now with our current technology. We can't build it. So yeah, it's definitely a real big feat.
So magical.
All these things black people did. So when people say you're acting black, we talk about, is it what white people want you to believe is black, or what black people truly did that was black? So we need to separate the two.
Yes, but I would say, as a person, everyone hears how I sound, right? And all my life, obviously, I definitely have been accused of not acting black and acting white or acting in any way. And I grew up Lower East Side of Manhattan, Stuyvesant Town, New York City. I sound this way because this is how people around me sounded. I watched a lot of white programming. Shout out to 90210. I love you. And a lot of Clueless. And so for me, I think the only problem is, like, as a community, like, yes, it can be extremely frustrating when someone comes and steps to us with ignorance or with an attitude or with some type of agenda against us. But I do, like, as you mentioned, crabs in a barrel, we also have a responsibility to uplift each other. And I think that when one of us kind of gets out of pocket and steps to us the wrong way, it's still not okay for us to step back to them with attitude and vitriolness, because we're never gonna grow. And so we have to hear each other out, and we have to say, hey sister, hey brother, why do you say that? What makes you want to say that, right? Instead of just being like, oh, well, I have a JD. You know what I mean? Because we all, for those of us who are accomplished, we can list our magnitude of accomplishments. But, like, at the end of the day, how can we be a more united community? I think is something that needs to be on our mind each and every day, because it's not going to help, right? Like, because we already have enough people who make statements and judgments against us. We as a community have to have a little compassion, even when the person speaking to us doesn't have any compassion or is coming kind of left field, because otherwise, I feel like, I was telling Khalil recently, I've read or heard something that was said a while ago, which is, we are the wildest dreams of our ancestors, right? Of our slave ancestors, we would have been their wildest dreams. So, like, do you think our slave ancestors would want us to fight and to bicker with each other, or would they want us to be united and to move forward together? And I just think that it is unfortunate when people in our community are so ignorant enough to say such a phrase, because you can't act a race, right? Like, that's not possible. You can sound pompous, you can sound arrogant, you can sound condescending, but you cannot sound white, you cannot sound black, you cannot sound Indian, you cannot sound European. You sound like a human being. And you have different tonation and diction.
There's different accents.
But it is not associated with a race, or one could say it could be associated with a region, because there are people, right? Germans sound a certain way, Indians, right? Like, you have regional accents and commonality. But I think that I would encourage you, if someone does come to you in the near future saying, hey, Jason, why are you acting so, try to educate them and
Exactly.
not necessarily say F you.
Well, what you could even do is just be like, wait, but did you read this book? Did you know what our
exactly,
ancestors
right?
used to
Like
do?
giving each other resources.
You know our history.
Maybe they'll take it,
I mean,
maybe
that
they
kind of
don't.
thing.
But I do think we have to.
I think it'd be cool just
come
to
together,
try to educate each other. Be like, we don't even know what kind of content we should be taking in, right? Because if we just take the advice of the schools, we're just going to be reading about these old white people that learned stuff from others and took all the credit. But if we actually get, actual history of who invented the sciences, then we get into some nice juicy details that make some people squirm in their seats. So that's what I like. I like hearing about, oh, did you read that book? Oh, no, I didn't read it. Let me check it out. Because I've only been taught the white history,
Okay, sir.
That's so far.
One thing I'll say is that I think for one thing that'll help Black people, stop doing Arabic things, stop doing Christian things.
Oh,
stop trying to be a Muslim. The thing is, like, again, if you want to, I think the issue with the people is they have no knowledge of themselves. When they have knowledge of self, they awaken their consciousness. Awaken their consciousness, their actions, words, and thoughts of themselves and of their fellow brothers and sisters will change. It will change, because if they know who they are, know who they were, and know who their ancestors were, and know what their possibilities are, their possibilities will be limitless. So it means if they're limitless, we don't have to call each other these bees and hoes. We don't have to have all these kids and not take care of them. We don't have to be all about WIC checks and food stamps and begging for handouts from other people to have sympathy for us.
Okay, well, so that's a very packed sentence with a lot of things that you're expressing there. So one thing, though, I would want to ask then, okay, since this is a candid conversation with Jason about, I don't even know if it's
we're
white,
off
Black,
topic a bit.
We're
covering some
down
other
a different
stuff,
road.
talking about some educational.
Okay, so at the end of the day, I think ultimately, though, what we're talking about is the lack of unity within our community, to the point of we attack each other on how we sound or what we're doing. And so ultimately, what advice do you have for a Black person who's maybe listening to this, who is being teased or harassed or taunted for being different, right? Either for a belief system or for how they sound or what they do, their occupation. What are your thoughts there?
Well, there's a couple things. They have to stand up for themselves. No human being has the right to put another human being down. There's no universal law that says that's true. That you have to be subject to any form of abuse, mind, body, or spirit. So you always stand up for yourself under all circumstances. I don't care if it's a white guy, a black guy, green guy, blue guy, whoever. That just goes without saying. Because there's no human being who could tell me that any form of abuse to a human being is justified unless there is truth or proof that that person did something prior. Then I'll say they need to. I think all Black people need to find out what they need to go back to Africa. They need to research Africa. They need to find out what Black is, because there's a reason why I say this. There's a reason I'm saying this, because what happens is there's a chance that some of these people who are being teased for doing things a certain way, maybe they are doing things that are white. Maybe.
Oh man, you've come full circle.
And let me explain.
Okay, yeah.
What else is that? If a lot of Black people in this country embrace other people's stuff, and then we Blackify it and just call it our own. But that's fine to appreciate other people's stuff, but find out what your stuff is too. Find out what your stuff is. Not theirs that you Blackified, but your stuff that's already Black. And if there are activities or things you like to do, if you talk proper, if you like to get good grades in school, if you like to progress yourself and your family and your life, keep doing those things. Because the more you do those things, the more that you're going to the people who try to diss you realize that they can't phase you. They realize that you're progressing and they're going to be stuck where they're at. Where people who, unfortunately, who are in lower income areas, or people who, maybe college thing didn't work out, this other job didn't work out, this other thing didn't work out, and they're kind of in a downward spiral for the rest of their life. Misery likes company. So if you're progressing, they don't want to. They'll do anything to hold you back, even if it's just an insult. Even if it's just an insult, you know, because they don't want to be left alone. So I think it's a combination of knowing who you are. Okay to embrace other people's stuff. That's fine. But if you enjoy those things, do them, But at the same time, also, just keep doing the positive things you're doing, because a lot of times the things I've done that were positive by other Black people were looked down on as negative, but they were legit positive for myself or for my community or my family or whatever, So don't stop doing positive things. Positive things are good.
Even if you're teased for doing those positive things, you're saying continue to do it.
Yes, and the reason is because, like, for instance, in school, if you there's stories. This is truth. You can look this up. There are some Black kids that will let the grades slip just to be accepted by their peers.
Yes.
And before, I remember, like, when Barack Obama became the 44th president, that gave a lot of people an inspiration to show you that it's okay to get good grades in school. It's okay to progress when it comes to academic studies. That's not being white. That's just being intelligent. There's nothing wrong with having a brain that works, that you can apply and learn knowledge and regurgitate facts and maybe apply that knowledge in some way, shape, or form. These are okay things. These are not bad things. Why would we would think these things are bad is beyond me.
Hey there. Do you have a book that you want to share with the WokeNFree Nation? Are you a business owner looking to share your product or service with the podcasting world? Well, guess what? You can book an ad with us on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. We're super excited to speak with you about curating a unique ad that will get your message across the WokeNFree platform. So go to the Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com, because WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It's a way of life and offers an innovative way to promote your platform in the exploding podcasting space.
All right. Well, to keep it woke and free, I will say I agree and disagree with some of parts of what you said. So yes, I agree that you should always stand up for yourself. I agree that you should do what is positive and healthy and constructive for you. But I personally would like us as people, Black, white, yellow, green, red, whatever, to get away from the idea of white stuff and Black stuff and Asian stuff. And I just think because that breakdown, racial breakdown of our society is what's driving a lot of negativity, right? If we can just see ourselves as, like, I think her name was Jane Elliott or something like that,
yeah,
as the human race is one race, then we can stop, especially now with what's going on with coronavirus, attacking people who may be of a different background from you, maybe from a different land or country, because at the end of the day, we're human beings and reading is universal. That is not something. Now, did all races and cultures learn how to read at the same time? No, a lot of stuff originated from Africa. And so if you want to keep it 100, right? Yes, a lot of stuff is Black stuff, but at the end of the day, it's things that are helpful for our race. And it doesn't help us to be like, well, this is what Black people did, and this is what white people did, and this is what, it's not unifying us as people. And I think
you don't think it's good though to know, like, the origins. So for example, in terms of, like, religion,
it is
knowing that religion came from Ethiopia, or
yes,
even Christianity specifically came from there and was filtered.
But I think we also, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because if we know our history, but then we use it against others, because that's
shouldn't use it against. I mean, that's not
because
the best.
It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of dysfunction in our world, and so all I say is, at the end of the day, I agree with you, Jason, in that difference is good. If you look at the most successful people in the world, these were people that were tormented, teased, and harassed all their life for being different. So if you want to be on a path of success and true value and legacy, then you most likely are going to be teased. So own it, accept it, and move on, and enjoy being different, because if you're not different, it means that you're probably not making much of a difference. And so it just depends on the kind of person and legacy you want to live. But
So
That's
you
my
don't
two
want to
cents.
make it, it shouldn't be us versus them type of thing. You think we need to just
That's
say,
not going to promulgate our
let's all
society
just
further. We either, it
kumbaya
depends.
kind of thing.
Do you want to be black or do you want to live a long life, right? Like sometimes I feel like in life we get so caught up on the black and the white and the this and the that, and it's like,
I mean, it would be better if we could just but I mean, we're not even making that choice, right? There's other people that want to first see us as black and wrong, right? They just want to see black is wrong and white is right.
We don't control the actions of others. We only control the actions of ourselves. So us as a community, if we can sit down together and say, listen, regardless of what other people are going to do, this is what we're doing. This is our black code. This is our code of operation. This is how we're going to behave and step into our truth. Then maybe, we'll be the change that we want to see, because we can't expect to tell other communities to do something that we're not doing for ourselves. So
yeah.
It's something to think about.
You're right. You're right. You're right. We have to be the change we want to be. You're right. I can't. No one can disagree with that. No one. Yeah, because I just think that at the end of the day, we need to just know who we are, but still be able to exist in the world where I can embrace my blackness, embrace my culture or my ethnicity does not mean I'm degrading anyone else.
Yes,
that has to be a thing. Like people have to realize that I can be proud of Egypt or Ethiopia or Sudan or Zaire or Nigeria, but just because I'm proud of that does not mean I'm dissing anything that's European or Chinese or Japanese or Korean or South American,
And you're absolutely right. That's a problem in our world. We currently live in a world where pro-black has somehow turned into anti-white or anti, and that's is not appropriate, nor is it in any way true, because people who are pro-Italian are not seen as anti
anything,
the establishment. And I do think we have a disconnect in this country specifically. I can't speak on black in Europe or black in Africa, but here in America, it seems like if you're defined as pro-black, it means you are anti something else, and that is not appropriate, and it is not true. You can be pro something without having to be the antithesis of something else. And so hopefully this adds to that general conversation. And Khalil, I think you have a question.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot said for this conversation. I definitely say that. We got off topic a bit, but I think there was some good knowledge being spit.
It was a candid conversation. We'll have to continue to do more of these.
Yeah, I think we have some other topics that we're going to have to tackle at some other point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the WokeNFree Nation wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
I have an Instagram account, Lloyd1636. And on my page, it's just stuff I enjoy, whether it be the martial arts, whether it be nature, whether it be state parks, whether it be firearms, whether it be history, whether it be personal growth and self-development. It's just stuff I enjoy. That's all it is.
All right, so they should hit you on the DM, or I mean,
yeah. So Lloyd, 1636.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other last minute words of wisdom or thoughts that you'd want to share with the WokeNFree Nation?
I would say that embrace who you are unapologetically. Just be true to your spiritual essence. Because you're only in this physical form for a short period of time. Then you transition to the energy form. So while you're in the physical realm, you just have to embrace who you are without hurting any other human beings. That's all I'm saying.
Peace and love, always. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, WokeNFree Nation. Right. If you want to add your thoughts to this conversation, if you want to check out Jason, definitely make sure that you go to WokeNFree.com. You'll see his bio and more information to get in touch with him. So, Jason, thank you for joining the conversation and keeping it 100 as you always do.
I appreciate you having me, because I've never done something like this before ever. So it's kind of cool to be a guest on a podcast. I'm like, wow, I get to do this. I was kind of giddy actually this when I called in.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Well, yes, listen, great. Every week, right? Every Wednesday, WokeNFree, guys, this is what we do. This has been a fun, candid conversation, and we're happy to be your first, hopefully of many other podcasts that you decide to join and share your truth and share your wisdom.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate the information you were giving to the WokeNFree Nation.
Oh boy, that was quite a conversation, right?
I think so.
Oh my goodness, I don't actually have words, and as you know, I'm filled with many. So, being speechless.
There's a lot said. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't lie about that. There was lots of content in there.
Oh boy.
A ton of things were, just put out on the table for people to eat up and do what they want with it.
Yeah, I need to actually learn another language so I can say, oh boy, in other languages. Because this is a conversation that definitely provoked that for me.
Well, would no puede ser do it or no?
Oh, muy bueno. Very nice.
That's
very
just one
nice.
thing I think of, maybe.
Excelente, señor.
And then what else can we think of? Oi.
Oy.
Oh, Dios mío? Or no, that's
Still Espanol there.
Oh man, I know other.
We gotta learn other languages. So that
oui,
we can... Yes, in French.
Oui, oui.
Yes, I don't think they say it as weird as that, but
oh, they don't know how to put the little twang
well,
on it.
I think they do that. Oui, oui. You know how the French have this beautiful accent.
Oui, oui.
Yeah, not so scary.
Oui, oui.
We are at that time again.
I'm trying to. I never took French in high school, so I can't say.
Never took it. We both took Spanish.
Yeah, we took it Spanish. All of our Spanish,
señor.
All of our language careers.
Yes. The only other thing, I had a departure for 1 year. I got to do Latin with a very hot teacher, which was cool.
Oh, so now you know Pig Latin.
Not quite.
All right.
Not
nice.
quite.
So you can't say your Latin stuff.
And a little un poquito, but then mostly English. We're still struggling there too.
And so zero Latin then for what we're gonna say. Zero
yeah,
Latin
I remember
right
he
now.
was hot. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
You don't remember anything of the Latin language which you speak of.
He was hot. Yeah.
No, that's
Very
great.
nice. I think so. I I remember.
You think it was a he? It might have been a she.
She was hot. I don't know. No, it was a man. I think he was handsome, but that's a whole other conversation. We are not going down that road. So, but it is coming to the end of our 106th episode of Woke and Free.
That was the Latin style.
Amazing.
So like the Romans, that's how they used to say
Mucho
woke and free.
bello.
You know what's crazy? I think Romans, they actually used to know about woke and free.
Amazing.
They knew it before it came out.
Literally, like we created a show and it predated our lives.
Yeah, isn't that
Amazing,
crazy?
amazing.
I just think that. This is just coming off my head.
There's also, I think, a Woke and Free constellation in the sky.
Well, of course there's stars named after it because anybody can name a star after anything they want.
Amazing.
And it's not actually scientifically recognized.
But we didn't even pay for the certificate, Khalil. So
I
stop.
know, but we wrote our own certificate. We looked at a star
Here
in the
you
sky
go.
and we wrote it.
Here you go.
But we're just as good as any of those other star naming conventions because NASA's not recognizing those stars that are named after
So
people.
we're going to have to talk about should you buy a star in the sky as an episode because you feel a certain kind of way on that subject and I feel a
I
certain
know,
kind
we
of
should
way
talk
on
about
subject,
that.
so
That's
we're going to have to bring that to
I wonder,
Woke and
I don't know how
Free
many people have done that.
Who's
That's a
bought
good topic,
star?
though.
Guys, have you bought a star? And if so, how was that process? Can you actually see it? What did the paperwork look like? Like, really nice, guys. We're going to have to come back to that one.
That's a whole separate topic.
Word.
That's what Woke and Free is about, though. We talk about everything and anything.
Exactly. We be talking about real stuff, and then
It's
we be
like,
talking about
what are we talking about
interesting
now?
stuff, and then we talk about black people stuff. We
talking about
all sorts of
society and astrology and space.
stuff. And
Smart.
sex and sex workers, and then presidential elections.
Yeah.
That's what Woke and Free is all about. It's about being completely limitless.
You never know what you're
in the
going to hear.
questions you're going to ask and answer, and then ask more because you're like, hey, that begs a question, and then you go down a whole different
Just
road.
like this episode was. We had one topic, but we discussed some other things on the way.
Am I wild?
Quite a few things were there, right?
Absolutely. Jason, you're amazing. This was quite the episode discussing why do black people say other people act white? Air quotes, guys, air quotes. And
I know.
will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be discussing Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden. Who is going to be the Democratic candidate for the 2020 U.S. elections? Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for Woke and Free Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, like Jason Sims, then you've got to submit a topic on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. you can't forget the website, but I'll spell it out for you just in case you happen to be driving, showering, or doing something else. Ooh la la. WokeNFree.com. That is WokeNFree.com. Contact us page. That's how you hit us up. If you want to find us on social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest at WokeNFree. When it comes to sponsorships, if you have a book or business that you are looking to advertise now more than ever, given that we have to be one with the internet, why not consider podcast advertising? It's a whole new space and a whole new way to advertise whatever you're passionate about, business, product, service, and beyond. Find us on our contact us page at WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already become one with the universe, you could
They did become Yoda already? Wowzers. If you didn't already become one with the universe, what do they merge with it? What are they, like...
Not everybody has reached their higher power.
Keanu Reeves in Matrix? Are you insane?
I'm just saying, if you haven't, I mean, what you can do for now, though,
that's amazing.
You can at least subscribe to us. You could share our episode.
Sure.
And you can make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. We bring you to the universe and become one with it.
Get your Yoda game on, guys.
Until next time.